Greetings folks, and welcome to Channel Otherdoc. I'm Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and today we are playing Captain Blood's Odyssey, a game by Deirdre Donlon. That's Praxagora Thesmophoria, for those of you who may know her from various places around here, or Dee, who's been on this channel before. It is a game that is descended from the Queen, so it uses its mechanics from For the Queen by Alex Roberts. I'm very excited to dig into this. Somewhat of a nautical theme we have here. We're going to go ahead and go around, say hi to everybody, and I will start with Jen. Hello.
Hello. I'm Jen. I'm either Jen Quixote or Quixote Jen, depending on what platform you are on. And you can find me on Twitter at QUIXOTEJEN, one N, not two. And I also stream on Featherfall Tabletop, which is Featherfall TT on Twitch. I'm in a weekly campaign on Tuesdays. They're taking a break this week, and I'm running an Impulse Drive one shot, which is going to be super fun, especially since I started learning the system 2 days ago. But the developer is really being cool and working with us. And then on next Monday, I get to be in a Guns of Santorina, one that's being run by the creator PG, I think Harrington, which is like a Western thing. So this week is full for me.
Much gamery.
Yeah, the way that it should be.
That's right.
But yeah. So it's awesome. I'm so glad to be here. I'm super excited to do a character creation time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. Very cool. Let us circle around. I guess I'm just going to keep going clockwise. Let us circle around to Brian. Hello.
Hey, I'm Brian Cooksey, Vaclam on most of the things, and I'm a co-host of the Armor Goes Clank podcast, and otherwise you can find me here just riding Jim's coattails as either run things or play things on his channel.
Yes, definitely.
It's very long coattails. They're comfortable.
No, one tries to request these things at one's tailor. Make certain the entire street can be covered by the tails of the coat. Oh, it's March. I'm just remembering. And let us head over to Levi. Hello.
Hello, I'm Levi. I use he, they pronouns. It's been a minute for me since I've been on this channel, but apparently I like being both on this channel and on boats.
That's how it works. Try to simultaneously. We try to fix that Venn diagram as much as we can, apparently. I think it was last time we did. So we had not the last time you were on the channel necessarily, but the last time we did things with boats. It was 2 different games during the same month that you were basically on the ship. One was the mini campaign, and one was a one shot. So what's happening here? So this is a game that uses mechanics from For the Queen, which is just basically a game where we go around sort of slowly building up stories about our characters as the thing progresses. And so this will be roughly 3-ish hours. And if necessary, I will stack the deck to bring it for us to bring it to the necessary conclusion at the appropriate time, but we'll see how it goes. Still need to shuffle those. I will do that momentarily. But like we do with most games on this channel, we use the X card, the N card, and the O card. So if we hit something that's crossing a line for us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, or tap the X on the screen here, because this is built in for these games. And we'll back up and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but hello, hey, thank you for this, thank you for the subscription, much appreciated. If something happens we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat, and we'll fade to black on it or put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let us know we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. then everyone else can respond to that again with an X, an N, or an O to let us know if we're still doing okay. So let's see here. The way this works similarly to For the Queen in that we have kind of instructions that we read through at the beginning. So I have made it so that we should be able to just go to the rules and setting decks and hit the choose button, and that will show the cards in order. Do not drag them out, because then we will lose our place. But the idea is that we're supposed to go around reading these cards aloud, and it's basically to describe how this goes. I think there's going to be a card somewhere in there with a URL on it, so that may be slightly harder to read. We need not read that. We need not read these cards verbatim per se. So first we're going to start with the rules cards. So if you will click choose, we're going to go ahead. We're just going to keep going around clockwise. So it's basically me, Jen, Brian, Levi. And we'll go from there. So if everyone can see the cards, so next to the rules deck, the purple deck, I shall start out, and it says rules. Read these rules aloud, each player taking a turn. That is the first card. And And Jen, if you would, you are muted.
I thought I unmuted myself, but I actually muted myself when I was unmuting myself. Do I click on the card to make it bigger?
Yes.
Okay. Yay! Okay. When a player draws a question card, they have 3 options: :::.
Hand over to Brian.
Just a moment. Read it aloud and answer it from their character's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Which is the first option.
And then over to Levi.
Pass it to the next player in turn order, saying, "I'd like to hear your answer to this question."
Yeah, that's also what we refer to as a power move. If you decide you don't want to answer it, but you don't want to exit, you just give it to the next player. And finally, final option, tap the X card, or otherwise indicate the card as being X carded and draw another one to replace it. That's another option you have when doing that. And back to Jen.
They disappeared. Just a second. There we go. A player who answers a question card may do so as simply or as elaborately as they wish. Other players may make suggestions or ask follow-up questions, and the one who drew the card can accept those suggestions or answer those questions to whatever extent they prefer.
Yep.
And I have clicked on it, but it's taking a while to spin up. Thanks, technology. Wow, here we go. A player who receives a passed card may answer it, X-card it, or pass it the same way the original player did. The original player's turn is now over, and the player who received the passed card's turn will be over when they pass or answer it.
That is a very good clarification.
Yeah. X-carding a card does not end the player's turn. They draw the next card and continue. Players can also X-card prompts that are drawn by other players, or that any content that arises during the game. The X card removes content from the game. It does not need to be explained or justified by the one who used it.
Yeah. And you can feel free to use the X card as casually as you like with this in particular. It's like, I just don't think we should have this question in this game, or I'd like to X card this question, and that you don't even have to explain that much. Just say, I'd like to X card this question.
Yeah.
We can just take it out, go to the next one. The X card was originally developed by John Stavropoulos and is adapted for use in this game. To learn more about the card, there's a URL. It's a tinyurl.com/x-card-rpg. Okay, so that's the rules. I'm going to go ahead and open up. Now we will move to the setting deck. And we're going to click choose on that. and there are 7 cards in there. I'll go ahead and start with the first card, because it is a very simple card. It is a card that reads, The Caribbean, 1688.
All right. The sea is rich with Spanish galleons, French frigates, and British merchant ships.
And again, one moment.
Loading.
And also loading screens.
Yes. And also, here we go. And these ships make for right pickings for the pirates under the command of the infamous Captain Peter Blood.
You are crew members who escaped penal slavery with Captain Blood a mere 3 years ago.
But the political changes in Europe have begun to have an effect even in the warm waters of the Caribbean.
Rumors of war between France and England have been growing daily.
If England calls her aid, will you accept their pardon?
And that's where it ends. And that actually is the way that Before the Queen works is that when you hit a certain card, that's the last question, and everyone answers that question. And so that's the final question is, and I think it's King William, they say, is the one that offers basically letters of marque. I think if I recall correctly, for basically folks to come in and fight France, would you? This is also keeping in mind that I think it's James II would be the previous king being the one that sort of had decided in the novel at least sort of decides, okay, Captain Blood, instead of executing you all, we're going to put you into slavery. We're going to put you in a slave colony in the Caribbean, and then it was like a number of years later they escape, and then they go pirating, and that's basically how that goes. However, just because now a thing that this game does not have that For the Queen does that I thought it might be cool if we had was that there are a number of I have pulled up some images from a number of Captain Bloods that we will have to choose from. And I will display each of these in turn, these different cards, so that we can decide sort of which one we want to use as our inspiration to look upon whilst we are doing this thing. Let me actually open my my aid document here, just that I prepared for this, just so that I have it in front of me. Just to show folks what it is that we're looking at, as possible options for the Captain Blood we want to use, and each of these will probably change the flavor depending on how we want to do it. We have the original Captain Blood from the novel by Sabatini, and then of course we have J. Warren Carrington from the silent film that was the first screen adaptation of Captain Blood in 1924, and then of course we have Errol Flynn, who is of course 1935. Then let's see who do we have next. We have Louis Hayward from the 1950 version of the film. That's Fortunes of Captain Blood was the name of that one. Then we have the lead from the French version of the film. That's Jean Marais from Captain Blood 1960. I'm presuming somehow the history is slightly different in that one to be slightly less mean to France, I'm guessing. And then of course I have a few more. Then of course we have Sir Henry Morgan, who the character was in part based on, and Captain Morgan. Yes, it's that Captain Morgan. Then of course we have, let's see, who do we have next here? we have the cyborg Captain Blood from the 1988 PC game, who's basically on a space mission to try to recover these dangerous clones of his that have gotten out and try to sort of reintegrate them and then make out with an alien chick. And then, of course, we have a version of Captain Blood from the unreleased Xbox game that was supposed to come out in 2009 and apparently was fairly historically accurate, but more just generally running around and beating people up and being kind of roguelike, I think. And then, of course, finally also, we have the Australian footballer Jack Dyer, who is known as Captain Blood because he had a certain way of body checking people on the field, and but apparently made it into the Hall of Fame a number of times. So there's that as well. So which one of these do we want to go with as our inspiration for the Captain Blood we will be playing with today?
I think I've seen Errol Flynn cited as like the archetypal swashbuckler enough that like that's kind of where I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, same here. Top of my list is definitely Errol Flynn. Close second, though, is Cyberblood.
I'm way good with Errol Flynn, but I do have to say that Xbox One is pretty hot. Like,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. But I'm way good with Errol Flynn. That's awesome.
Okay, so Errol Flynn it is. I also, just in case we ended up choosing Captain Morgan, I had a secondary version of him that was a more historical portrait, just for copyright reasons, if nothing else, because I didn't want to stick it up there the whole time. All right. I shall recall these and pull out Errol Flynn here. There we go. Captain Blood. Excellent, excellent. So this is our version of Captain Blood, the more swashbuckly version. So let's see, Captain Blood, 1935. Want to see if it's there. Okay, yes. So there, yeah. The plot is available on Wikipedia if anyone decides they want that. But really, this is really more of us building the world as we go, so we can do whatever we want, really, realistically speaking. But I'll go ahead and throw that down there. Okay. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle. I'm going to go ahead and clear out these other decks of cards so that we just have the prompts. And I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the prompt deck. Let me make sure I did this so that okay, players can draw cards. Good. Show deck to players. Okay, good. We're there. All right. So, really we just start drawing cards and answering questions. Do you want me to go first by way of demonstration, or does someone else want to go first?
Yeah, I'm cool with you going first.
Yeah,
Okay.
demo it.
Agreed.
All right, I shall do that, and then if we're good with it, we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep going clockwise. Here, let me turn on the ocean while I'm at it. There we are.
That's some power. You can turn on the ocean.
Yes! I just sort of glance at the ocean, and I wink and I nod at it, and it shows up. Okay. Okay, so first question: why were you transported to the colonies to be sold as a slave? As we go, we sort of discover different things about our characters, and I think it was because for whatever reason, James II stated publicly that, and wasn't completely sure of his meaning when he said this, but that I was too dangerous to kill. And now we open the floor to questions. Does anyone have any questions, want me to elaborate or suggest other details?
What dangerous things did you do?
Well, I don't know that... You see, the thing about it is that I don't think it's so much what I did as what he was worried I was going to do. Because I kind of knew things. I was somewhat involved with the government up to a certain point, after which I was rather ceremoniously not involved.
And how did you get this position in the first place? Where you knew things?
Where I knew things?
Where you were, where such things were available for you to find out?
Well, so... Let me just double check my dates here. Let's just say that in wartime it is always good to have sources of information. And I was kind of good at that. Also, you can refuse to answer questions that people ask you as you're going. I know that I'm the one being asked right now, but I just didn't mention
Or
that.
just be squirrely about the way that you answer it.
This is true. That might also be my default mode. I'm not entirely sure. Any further
Whatever,
questions?
Varys.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. So we just go over to Jen, and you get to pull a card.
And I just say draw?
Yeah, you can say draw, or you can... Well, if you draw, it'll probably put it in your hand, so what I would recommend is just clicking and dragging.
Okay, I just click on the deck.
Yeah, and drag the top card over.
There we go. Why do people in England fear you? Well, I fell in love with a pirate, and I followed him into his life. And then it turned out I was way better than him at being a pirate. And I worked my way up until I became a captain. And I'm actually the infamous Captain Wendy. And I have helped sink many a vessel, military, civilian. I don't care. I'm going to get my stuff. So I am known as a terror of the high seas. I am the terrible Captain Wendy.
Did you have any interest in piracy prior to this happening?
No, I was just, a confused young woman who just fell in love, and it was my heart that called me to the sea.
Is this other pirate still around, or... ...
Oh yeah, he's my second in command, but after I was captured, I don't actually know where he was transported or if he was even executed. I don't have any information about that right now. But yeah, second in command. He was, okay with that. He would occasionally get a little weird about it, but, I was better than him. What was I going to do?
I don't have anything.
All right.
What?
So it's over to you.
Okay, and let me see if I can do the mechanics properly. The captain needs you for a skill only you can provide to the crew. What is it? I was a master gunner for His Majesty's Navy. and there aren't that many of us around. Well, specifically, there aren't that many of us here in the Caribbean working as slaves. Either we were already executed, or they didn't get exiled like I do.
Are there any particular big sort of scores or vessels you've taken out, major enemies you've taken out that you might be known for?
Yes. Let's see. I'm checking now to make sure I get my dates right, but yeah, okay. We were on the run from a Spanish vessel, and they had us in a cove, and we couldn't get out. So I'm the reason we got away. We did not sink the Spanish vessel, but we crippled it enough for us to sail away and basically bloody the Armada's nose.
Nice.
What did you do to accomplish that?
I nearly sank our ship, to be honest, but it worked. Sailors know how many guns each type of ship has on each side. I doubled the number of guns on our starboard side, which made us list pretty heavily.
Gonna say.
But we messed up their rudder and took out their mainsail.
Well done. Do you brag about that when you get drunk at taverns, or do you keep that to yourself?
Yeah, I in certain crowds, I don't pay for drinks. I try not to brag too much if I hear people speaking Spanish, though.
You probably don't like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how many...
They hate that story.
How many, I'm trying to remember how many, and this isn't actually anything we need to, answer truthfully, but how many guns are usually on the side of a...
That's an outstanding question, and it depends on the type of ship I was on. We'll have to look that up and get actual numbers, but yeah.
I'm just curious about it in case there were nicknames or something that might have come out.
Oh, yeah. We may need to work on that.
How many guns?
No, I'm probably just called Gunpowder Jim or something like that.
Gunpowder Jim, I like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea, and you can go with this or not, but I kind of like the idea that when you tell the story, the amount of guns kind of changes.
Oh, that's even better.
And so you're how many guns? That's your...
Yeah, actually, that's exactly it.
All the guns ever.
Yeah.
This is bristling with 500 guns on the side of it.
After a while, in order for it to be truthful, we would have had to borrow guns from other ships. Yeah.
Is this going to be one of those stories where it's eventually we get down to the truth of it, and it's just that you moved 2 guns over from one side of the deck to the other?
At this point, even I don't remember. Maybe.
Brilliant.
I've been a slave for a while now. This sucks.
Well, I'm presuming this is taking place after we've already escaped and are out pirating.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we're back at least away from the slavery and into some sort of lower level skullduggery.
Yes,
All right.
precisely.
It's really beneath me, but I'm doing it.
You got to do what you can.
It's all stepping stones.
You gotta pay your dues.
Exactly.
That's it.
I think we're over to Levi at this point. If no further questions, okay.
Okay. Captain Skull's doctor once saved your life. Why did this surprise you? I think when we were in some like scrap with an English Navy vessel, like some shrapnel being like fairly close to the chest, and like it was, as far as any of us know, it was like only him that was been able to save it. I think it surprised me because when we were working on the same plantation, I didn't trust him as a doctor, so the fact that I wound up needing his skills and it actually worked kind of took me aback.
Do you have any scars from it?
Yeah, probably just you can probably only see it when I'm bare chested, but it's just like this, like small, like almost like an X somewhere on top of the rib cage.
Do you spend a lot of time bare chested so people can see your scar?
Open shirt, at least.
The character from Day to Day exists in varying degrees of romance novel cover.
Oh, oops, did I show my scar? I hope. Didn't mean to do that.
I pose dramatically way more often than anyone else on the crew.
It's like just you're the only one who stands at the bow, and suddenly the wind comes. It's like, how does he do that? I don't know how he does that.
I guess I'll slow this down at some point.
Nice. I can't. Was this the? I mean, was that the first time you'd had an injury that severe?
Oh yeah, like there's probably just like implantations and like once in a while back in England, like a couple of like reasonable injuries, a couple of messed up bones, but that was the only thing that really like risked organs. If that makes sense.
No, that's fair.
Is there anything you don't do or can't do as a result of the injury?
I mean, there's not a lot of like running for a long distance of time on the ship. It's like in a kind of like, at least to my understanding, it's a lot of like run forward, do the thing, run back, do things. But if we were ever like a boarding action would probably be a little like something that intense would be a little risky, but for the most part, get by pretty fine.
Mm-hmm.
They also can't not look cool.
Oh,
anymore. Yeah.
Important. Okay, no further questions? You good? Alright. I will draw another card. You have a personal hatred for the French crown. Why? Well, this has to do somewhat with my previous job. The French intelligence community is not very forthcoming when you're trying to work with them, and when you're trying to work against them, it's rather as though they have this need to make it personal, and basically when at the time when James was going around accusing people of treason, as I think a little parting gift, one of my opposite numbers in France decided to leave a bit of a note in the wake of his retirement, implicating me in what looked very much to be underhanded dealings. bringing my loyalty into question as well, which is why I got scooped up with everyone else. And he's got a decent position with the French crown, and I think it would be nice to knock him down from it.
So was the note that your opposite number left personal or just business?
That's a great question. Operates in kind of... it's one of those things that I think it was personal, but it was one of those things that only I could really tell that it was personal.
I mean, you sound really hurt by it, so I'm wondering what your relationship with him was like before he left that note.
Oh, it was very personal.
Let's see. That was evasive.
It might have been, I'm not sure. What I will tell people is that there was a time when things were relatively peaceful and the exchange of information seemed to be flowing well, that we shared a bottle of wine. And that was the last time I think I recall ever complimenting a French vineyard.
Are you lonely? It seems like all your friends have backstabbed you.
It seems that way. I think in many ways it seems I'm much more at ease among the pirates because you kind of know that you're going to be backstabbed. And those whom I've worked with on the crew on Captain Blood's crew don't seem to. They actually all seem to be, for the most part, they don't seem to be terribly treacherous. Whenever they seem to be becoming treacherous, it's kind of obvious.
We're not a subtlet.
Yeah, you know where you stand, and that's rare. So. That is probably... Had I not become a pirate, I would probably be very lonely indeed.
Are there other questions, or I'm drawing?
Other questions?
No questions?
Not from here.
Okay, I'm gonna draw. That didn't work. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right. What about the sea frightens you most? Well, I've spent a lot of time on the sea since I was, just really a young woman, and the sea has power. The sea will do what the sea wants, and, you either go with it or you don't. So when the sea decides that she has an issue with you, that's when she's scary.
Does the sea have an issue with you?
The sea's kind of a frenemy, like most of the time we get along, but then every once in a while she's just like in a mood. So,
are you of the opinion you can tell when she's mad at you, and is that accurate?
I'm pretty good at, this is why I was able to, do my stuff for such a long time. I'm pretty good at reading her. We're tight, me and the sea. Yeah, we're like this.
So has there anything happened in the past where it seems as though the sea might have like a personal vendetta against you?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's supposed to be bad luck for a woman to be on a ship anyway. So I actually have like quite a bit of a reputation for being an exception to that. But then anytime something goes wrong, it's because there's a woman on the ship. So once we pushed it a little too far, we were pursuing a vessel and we knew a storm was coming. And we pursued it right into that storm. And this was before I was captain. This is actually what ended up getting me my captain position. And, the ship ended up really getting very, very damaged. And we got beached for a long time. We had to repair it. It was quite dangerous. Like, we could have been stranded for a long time. And guess what the reasoning was? I was there. So yes, I have had those experiences.
I have a slight setting-related question that might involve, just as far as integration goes. Are you on a? Are you on Blood's ship with us now, or are you on a separate ship?
I think at this point I am. I mean, I think I still call myself Captain Wendy the Terrible, but I'm actually on the ship under the same captain. And there's a little bit of tension because I keep insisting on calling myself Captain Wendy, even though I'm no longer the captain. And I'm pretty sure that I could do it better than him, but I'm trying to keep that part under wraps.
He does rather swing from a lot of chandeliers unnecessary when we're in port.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's... It's kind of
I don't know
dangerous.
why he insists on holding knives in his teeth. I just think that's a really good way to cut your tongue.
Climbing all over the rigging when he doesn't have to. It's
Yeah. He's a bit of a ham.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a ham.
Doing that thing with the sail. Do you know how long it takes to repair one of those sails? And you just use a knife to get it's.
I keep telling him to only do that to the other people's ships.
Yeah. I mean that's better, right?
Well, these days we're going to run out of thread.
Yeah.
And really, like, how many times can you hear someone say "arr" before you're like, "Come on, man"?
It is rather disturbing, and I feel sorry for everyone in Cornwall every time I hear it. But I feel as though we've wandered a bit. Wait a minute. Let's see. What was this about? This was about the sea. Oh yes. Why? Then I think. Do you think, given the past difficulties, why do you think Captain Blood now trusts you?
He knows I'm good at what I do. I am a, really, really good navigator. Like, it's almost like intuition, following the stars for me. I know the stars and I know the sea like the back of my hand. And, I'm hardworking. So I'm valuable to have, almost as if I am good enough to be captain.
Yeah, I mean, he does do so much. He is also doubling his ship surgeon half the time, so it's really,
Yeah.
He has a lot on his plate.
I mean, I can do that. I just cut stuff off.
That's true. I mean, it's what's going to happen sooner or later anyway. So.
Exactly. And that's really the look that we're going for anyway.
Well, They're fashioning many. There's some very fashionable peg legs that have been that they're coming out this season, from what I hear.
A wormwood
in the
snake.
Tortuga haberdashery, and I have no further questions. That's where I'm gonna go.
Nothing else from me.
Okay.
Good question.
All right, let me see what we have. Why can you never return to the pirate-friendly port of Tortuga? Which is a problem for me. Let's see. Too many Spaniards. You know how, Jim, your character feels about the French crown?
Mm-hmm.
That's how every single Spanish sailor that knows my face feels about me. So, partly because I did actually embarrass them. Secondly, because I keep talking about how much I embarrass them. So, this is a bad combination for me. And, yeah. So, Tortuga, I stay on the ship if we ever dock there.
That's fair.
What do you do while you're on the ship and we're all out having fun?
Well, what I say I'm doing is maintaining the guns, which is in fact my job, and I do that, but then I get them as clean and ready to fire as they can be. At which point, mostly I just probably really bore anyone who finds their way back onto the ship. Oh, no, I know what I do. I also get people to do errands for me in Tortuga. Sometimes it's honestly just giving them money to bring stuff back. Sometimes it's finding out if certain people are there. And once it was, I risked going off the ship because I found out a certain person was there and never managed to meet her because I was spotted and chased back onto the ship.
I want to hear more about this certain person.
I don't talk about it much.
I have pushed and pushed to try to get more info. Have I gotten any?
Eventually, you get the name Carmela.
Okay.
Nice. Was there anything in particular that happened last time you were actually in Tortuga that kind of broke the camel's back, or was it just?
Yeah. It became too hot. I literally ran out of places that I could sit still, and since the defeat of the Armada was a couple centuries ago, but there are still Spanish sailors, and the Spanish are still out there. But so they don't have a whole lot of ports that they are that prevalent in, and unfortunately, this is one of them. So yeah, I also returned to the ship, needing our captain's services as a doctor.
Sheesh. No further questions.
I think the only potential thing that I have is that if you're looking for specific people out there, I tend to be good at that. So I'm wondering if I might have ever assisted you with that from time to time.
Yes. There aren't that many people that I try to find from my earlier life. And in this case, Carmela was like earlier pirate life, not even earlier Navy life.
Oh, look, we just got more info.
Yeah. But speaking of getting more info, Tortuga's not the only place I've tried to find her. So she apparently moves around as well.
Interesting. There's a hunt going on. Interesting.
Where in the world is Carmela?
I have no further questions.
If for any, I shall. There we go. Someone in Port Royal cares for you deeply. Who is it? My governor, my uncle, the governor, and I always got along when I was younger, and he was very disappointed after I did whatever it was that got me in trouble in the first place.
Right.
But that's kind of why I'm less nervous around that area as a lot of the rest of the crew would be.
Have you actually been able to get back to see your uncle?
It's gotten fairly close. Like, definitely the only times that we've actually docked there, I've like just wound up closer towards like the main political center, and I think it's but I don't think basically it's gotten close. I don't think we've ever actually seen each other quite yet.
Do you miss him?
Definitely, probably more so after, I was, convicted.
And he couldn't help you.
No. And I'm not quite an expert on what British politics would be at the time, but I think his position was a little too tangential to the law enforcement around England.
Yep. I'm good.
Similarly, I'm good.
Shall I draw? Shall I draw? I shall draw. The captain once gave you a token of his affections. What is it? Let's see. I think that yeah. I think there was a particular cutlass that he was using during one of our ship-to-ship battles. Once he was once again off doing that terribly unnecessary swinging from the rigging and tearing up sailing canvas and things of that nature. And it's like I kind of chided him about it, and he tossed me his sword, and he said, "All right, next time you fend them off." It was an amusing sort of moment. It was this little funny moment, but after that, he's only pretty much used a rapier, which, in my opinion, has only made things worse.
Do you ever put it between your teeth? Do you ever hold it that way?
Only when absolutely necessary, because I am very, I'm kind of rather proud of what dental hygiene I've been able to hold on to, and it's not very good for you to do that. But, sometimes you have to climb up the side of a boat and stab someone in the back, or behead them. And it's, if you don't have it adequately holstered, for whatever reason, if you need to, immediately make use of it. Usually, actually, it's more if I'm cutting a rope or something of that nature. If I want to stab someone, I'm going to use my dagger. But something like that, when one needs to have it at the ready, that's pretty much the only place you can put it, and then use both hands to get to the place you need to be. So it has happened. I try to reduce occurrences of that incident, but it has happened.
You don't value showboating quite as much as some of the others.
Yeah.
What was that?
You don't value showboating as much as Captain or some of the others.
No. How do you get anything done? That's the thing, is that, you make yourself a big target. And it's not really, it's not helpful, I think, to do that all the time. Now, granted, the captain makes excellent bait, but he need not play the role of bait all the time.
I mean, might be time for new leadership is all I'm saying. Are we?
Further questions?
I can't top that one. I'm good.
All right, I'm gonna draw. You have sworn vengeance against a French pirate. Why do you hate them? Well, we had already gotten their ship kind of under our control. They were under our thumb. Any reasonable pirate would have figured out that they should stop fighting at that point and just deal with it. And instead, they stabbed my boyfriend in the shoulder. And I hate that guy. Like, no, you don't come after my people for no reason, and then I don't want to go after you. So I'm going to get him. I don't remember. I keep trying to come up with a French name, and I can't come up.
Oh, no, you didn't have to. It's fine.
No, but I want to. Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc.
Damn him!
Damn, Jean-Luc!
I see Jean-Luc.
That'll do.
Have we heard tell of him since, or have you not run into each other once more?
Oh, I hear rumors about him. And I just sort of subtly hint to our captain that maybe we should go in that, where, just because it's a good idea in that direction. So I try to get us to pursue him, but I don't have a lot of power over it. So you do, when I get drunk, hear me just curse him out. Just, don't like that guy.
It's fair. It's very fair.
That was my question.
I mean, we could always, if necessary, we could just, if we end up at the same port, we could always just assassinate him. It's always a possibility.
I'm not opposed to this at all.
Yeah.
I would, the only thing is that I want him to know that it's me.
That's it.
That's terribly inefficient, but I understand your desire.
Yeah, I know it's not your style. But I need that.
We all have our lines. That's
Right. I mean, it didn't end up as like a cool, sexy scar on his shoulder either. It was just terrible. And I guess I can't really use his arm as well. And
it's not good.
If it was a cool scar, I might have gotten over it, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, would you be satisfied with just scarification in kind, or do you want his head?
If it was on his face,
That's it.
I'd be okay with that. And if everyone knew I was the one who did it, that I'd go for.
Interesting.
And if he was intimidated enough by it that he would not come after me after that.
One would hope.
I mean, it might be better to leave him dead so that I don't have somebody pursuing me for vengeance and we don't just flip-flop back and forth.
Yeah, there is a bit of a, kind of a...
Yeah.
Oh.
Although, having a nemesis might actually be kind of fun.
That's a good point.
That's another option. Yeah.
So
I'll have to feel it out when I find him.
are the rumors that he carries a letter of marque from the French crown accurate?
Letter of marque means like...
He'd be a privateer.
Like a warrant. Oh, yeah. I see.
Mostly hunting English ships. So.
Yeah. I think he tells everybody that because he wants people to think that he's legit, but he's really not. He's just on his own and out for himself. That's what I think. But he wants to sound cool, so that's what he tells people.
Gotcha.
He likes
He's
to talk
a
himself
poser.
up. He is such a poser. He's such a poser.
Yeah, I hate this guy now too.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
That's all I got.
All right. Let me see if I can get the thing to work. Ah, you were hesitant to join the... why were you hesitant to join the captain's crew? Let's see. Wow, why was I hesitant? Okay, so in order to join basically, I was one of the last ones to be sprung from the slave pens. Actually, most of the crew had already either escaped on their own or had helped to escape. And it turns out the reason I was one of the last ones to escape is because I was very heavily involved in the black market in the place that I had been enslaved. So I had a good thing going, honestly, except for the whole being a slave part. But so the real question is, what convinced me to stop doing that? What I was doing is I was just piling up money and squirreling it away for the day that I allowed myself to be rescued. And I didn't feel like I had enough. So the question is, why did I go ahead and leave earlier than I thought I was going to? Oh, I know what it was. The captain was like, because I don't confide in a lot of people about Carmela, but the captain was like, we're going to be sailing around a lot. Whole bunch of different ports. And you're stuck here, and she's never going to be here. And that finally, that was the thing that finally got me to join his crew.
I love this story so much. This makes my heart so happy.
When you say that you were in part of the black market for wherever you were enslaved, was it just like just picking up and selling contraband, or like what was up with that?
Mostly since I was not able to travel around much at all. I maintained one of the storehouses of goods. I was responsible for setting it up and hiding it really well, and making sure that the things that went into or out of it were the things that had been properly paid for.
Did you manage to get out with some money of your own?
I did. Not as much as I had hoped to, but I clearly came in onto the crew with a significant stash of my own. And on top of that, walked out with a couple of items that were not strictly speaking mine, that also found their way onto the crew, sort of as a welcome gift to the captain. Things that have like a particularly good spyglass, and a not insubstantial quantity of very good rum.
You must be popular on the ship.
I was until the rum ran out, and then basically I just had to be good at my job from that point on.
That's strangely when people got sick of your how many gun stories.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that was it. That was kind of the problem there. They were like, "Oh, now we're just down to grog. This isn't good."
The number of guns is inversely proportionate to the number of bottles of rum available.
Indeed, it is. There are rumors I kept one bottle of that rum someplace, but those of you who have looked for it can't find it, which means it might not be true.
I have totally looked for it.
I mean, it may not be true, but you are good at hiding things, apparently.
Yeah, that's what I was known for.
He's either hiding the rum or the fact that there isn't any rum. One way or
the other. Yeah.
It's such a powerful thing, the promise of rum. Possibly even more powerful than the rum itself.
Some of those voyages are long
and boring.
Yeah.
This is true.
And you have to tolerate each other, and sometimes that's not easy either.
Yep. Good point.
Dear. That's not
It's good. Yeah. Do we have any further questions? Alrighty.
Wait. There, I do. I'm sorry. Are there any particular dealings that you have, understanding that you had this trade going back at the time, Have you opened up any new routes of trade at other locations, other ports?
Excellent question. Only with the permission of the captain. We're pirates, not smugglers. And I do not want to piss off the captain. So there have been times that we have transported quantities of things that were from deals I brokered. But the one thing I will not do is use any portion of the cargo hold for myself.
That's one. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. You good? Why do you love the captain's attention? I think we have a very similar flair for the dramatic, and I'm grateful that game is recognizing game.
Do you find yourself on certain missions because of that flair that other people might not end up on?
Once in a while. There's a reason to believe he plays favorites, but with as often, with what he trusts me with as often as he does, it kind of makes me consider it.
Huh. I have to wonder, just if has there ever been a situation where he's like, speaking of these certain missions, has he ever used you as like a decoy?
I probably wasn't aware of it when it happened, but anyone like a spot decoy, it's we tried it a few times and it worked once, but the rate of success is low enough that it's not often, but it's possible and it's been done.
Does he remind you of your uncle?
Almost like the regard is like equal and opposite. Like, with the relationship with my uncle, it's very dependable. Like, this is the way a person should be. Whereas, with the captain, it's more like, this is the potential of what I can be.
Nice.
And
I like that.
Yeah, in my regard, that's for the most part much greater.
Yeah.
You also mentioned game recognizing game. Are there points where you have where there's like something of a competition going on? Do you think, like in port or what have you, or?
Every once in a while, I think sometimes we definitely do the Legolas and Gimli thing, where we keep track of how many we've each in combat, at least how many we've dispatched, or other like much lighter bits of competition.
It's so good.
I'm glad I got this prompt.
I mean, so you know, they're made, you know, in the dime novels or penny dreadfuls or whatever they're going to be calling them. Do you foresee, how likely is it that you're going to have a cover coming up with actually the both of you on it? And would that be too dangerous?
Yeah, like I definitely consider it a possibility, and that would be cool is just slightly louder than the acknowledgement of the risk of it.
I feel like it has to happen. Like, yeah.
Sooner or later.
Yeah. And there's going to be a romance cover with Carmela at some point. Definitely. Yeah.
We each get our spin-off series.
Heck yeah.
I'm totally there for the Captain Wendy trilogy.
Right?
Yes.
Right? And the cover is like me on the prow, just like...
That's the one.
Awesome. I have no further questions.
I'm all good.
Nothing else from here.
All right, here we go. Why do you fear another member of the crew? Ooh. This is a great question. I think that of the available crew members that we know about, I'm actually concerned about. I'm actually concerned about Levi, because it's one of those things where he has connections to Port Royal that I think put a very large bullseye on us. And he is not exactly subtle in the way that, as far as, when doing a lot of these things, there's, when we're going about our business, a lot of people will, among us, they're going to notice the captain, and then they're going to notice him, typically. And so it's not necessarily that I'm more worried about what something that he does might cascade into than anything that he does directly. I don't quite know where his head is, and I'm kind of concerned.
What do you do about it?
That's an excellent question. So I feel as though... I mean, the problem is, and the problem is that I also play into it, because he is a useful decoy. And so I feel as though there have been times when I am doing a potential mission assessment for us if we need to go out and either, we're raiding another ship, or we are uncovering something, or we're hiding, or if we're hiding treasure that we've located, that kind of thing. I will kind of, in my head at least, I kind of have a couple of lists of individuals, for, it's like essentials and expendables. And occasionally there are times when I perhaps will lean a little bit more often into putting him on the expendables list as we're planning things, I'm helping planning things out with the captain.
Sure.
Sorry, go on.
What happens?
I want to
It's a
know where
thing
we
that
stand on
happens.
the rest of us. Like, where are we on your
It's an
list?
excellent question, isn't it? I think in most cases, I don't think, I feel as though it would be better if I don't answer that question.
Oh, but I feel like maybe we can kind of get a sense of it watching the decisions that you make.
The sense that you get if you knew about the list, then the sense you might get would be that most of the time, Captain Wendy is on the essentials list.
As I should be.
Occasionally, She's not on either list, but usually on the essentials list. And maybe only once or twice has perhaps been the possibility of her being on the expendables list. Brian, Gunpowder Jim, or Brian, has never shown up on the expendables list. Probably.
I keep my head down.
Because, guns are so useful.
Well, and actually, that's literally true. I'm normally below decks.
Yeah.
So.
Also, there's no need to usually put him on either list. That's the thing.
No, you want me doing the guns. That's a good point.
Yeah. And the trading as well. That kind of helps.
True.
Sometimes we have to be able to sell things.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always in favor of just taking the money and not giving them things. But...
yeah, but we have to be able to spend it, and sometimes they have things that aren't money that are very valuable, and we need to get rid of them.
We can agree to disagree. It's okay.
Yeah. We're still chasing that good rum.
All right. Is it my turn?
I believe so.
Okay. The captain knows that you committed a serious crime during the escape from the plantation. Why does he protect you still?
Whoa.
Okay, so in addition to being a pretty excellent navigator, I think he has a crush on me. A little bit. Yeah, I think if it weren't for the fact that I'm searching for my love, he would probably make a move. And if we ever were to find out that my love did not survive, I would be heartbroken, but I'm pretty sure he would comfort me. So that's why I'm still here. And I might play it up just a little bit, just to keep myself safe on the crew.
So, if I may briefly reach into the extant lore of the version of Captain Blood that we've chosen. There is a does this do we think that there is do we feel as though that he's still holding a candle for that colonel's daughter that he basically that he met back on the plantation, or
I think
has his interest in you affected that at all, do you think?
Well, I think we're both in a similar position, because I am in my heart having to choose between like the sort of loyal but not particularly flashy or interesting Joseph, who was my love, and also this exciting, flashy captain with whom I could be an amazing team. Like, we could be co-captains, and it would just be... And then he has to choose between this, like, I don't actually know what his character is like, so I'm gonna make it up. Sweet, delicate, like well-mannered person, and then someone who could truly be his equal, and he has to choose between that, just as I do. So we're both struggling with that, and there's just a lot of chapters where there's just a lot of like almost getting together, but then backing away, and then almost backing away.
Honey,
I love that.
Yeah, nice.
I feel like in the trilogy of mine, like, we get together for a little while, but then like something happens and we have to tragically like back away. Yeah,
like the latter half of book 2.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Curious what you actually did escaping the plantation. That,
oh, that's right.
Yeah. That whether or not it actually shakes his attraction.
I actually think it increases it. I'm pretty fierce. I I cut a few people down on my way out, and the authorities aren't a fan of that at all. But yeah, I managed to disarm somebody and take his rapier and skewer him and a couple other people. And I think the captain respects that. I did what I needed to do. We're not delicate people, we pirates.
Yeah, of course.
I'm actually curious if the people that you were cutting through as we were as the escape was happening. I'm curious if there are if we have seen any repercussions from that since.
Well, I think that there is a warrant out for me, and there are certain places that we can't go, which seems to be a theme amongst this group.
It's almost like it's a pirate crew. I don't.
Yeah.
We have to choose our ports carefully.
There are a few places where if we disembark, I'm just like, everywhere we go in the port, get a really deep hood and put a fake mustache on.
Mulan it up.
Huh?
Mulan it up.
Yeah. Really get my voice really deep and like, I can't talk all that much. That's.
I like it that you managed to reverse the trope. You only disguise yourself as a man when you're off the ship.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
That's wonderful. Oh
Love
God.
it.
Well, I don't have any further questions. Anyone else?
I think I'm good.
Awesome.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break. Since we're like halfway through, we're gonna go like 5-10 minutes, and then we shall return and uncover more about this tale. So we shall see you shortly.
okay.
Hello, we have returned. Hello. Hello. And I believe it was Brian's turn.
Oh, yes. How about I do that drawing thing? All right. You held a respected profession in England. What was it? This is simple. I was, in fact, just Master Gunner for His Majesty's Navy. So, and was loyal and until I wasn't. But I definitely, like anyone that knew me knows that my plan was to be a career officer and just serve until I retired.
Do you still have like a sense of loyalty and affection to the crown, or did it just 180 for you?
Actually, I still do. I'm for. Hang on, let me get this right. For James II, not so much. But for the institution of the crown, yes.
So with your aspirations of becoming an officer, does that kind of translate into your position on to like at least your behavior on the ship?
Yeah, I'm easily the biggest stick in the mud on the crew. Some pirate crews do not run as tight a ship as ours, and I would venture to say that almost no master gunner on a pirate ship is going to run it like I do, largely because I still run it like I'm in the Navy. So, which actually probably translates to the gunners on the ship. The gunners on the ship end up, the ones that stick around, end up being the ones that can tolerate my Navy nonsense, which means that like the ones who are trained as gunners probably seem a lot different from the rest of the crew.
I have this feeling that we like both kind of roll our eyes and get annoyed by it and also respect it on some level too.
Yeah, because
like, we won't admit it, but we're like, no, it's actually really good.
Yeah, I'm really annoying until someone's shooting at us. Yeah. And there was a time early on when I wasn't aware of that dichotomy, but now I've like, unless I am acting in my official capacity, I cut people a lot more slack than unless you're one of my gunners, I cut you a lot more slack than I would normally. But there was like early on when I joined the crew, because keep in mind I was one of the last ones. So early on when I joined the crew, I was insufferable. I was this close to being tossed overboard. But someone, I don't know why, I have a feeling it might have been Wendy, who was just like, all right, look, man.
That would definitely be Wendy.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Wendy gave me the come to Jesus talk.
Yes.
So.
Get over yourself. You're not in the Navy.
Yeah.
Stay in your silo.
Yeah, I realized I was on the verge of being murdered in my sleep. So
I will do it myself if you don't
right,
back the fuck off.
So that turned me around. That it. Yeah.
You got it. Well, I mean, in light of that, does that mean that that what we're doing? Do you think that? Do you feel like you're holding out hope that with the change in the British government, with the change to a new monarch, that that hope that we're going to end up becoming privateers?
Yeah, honestly, I do, and anyone that knows me well enough would have already guessed that about me, which is why I don't go around just talking about it. But if it comes up in conversation, I'm not at the point where I won't hear anything bad said about the crown. But if somebody wants to basically slag off on James, I will join in.
No further questions. We good? Someone on the crew saved your life once. Who was it? I think there was a point where I was doing a little bit too much swashbuckling. And there was a point where I wound up almost within the line of fire of our own guns. And then, like, I think Brian's character knew which one whose can I would be in front of, and so he just like hold like towards that one.
Yeah.
And it was like a fairly narrow miss, and like it was probably that gunner who came up and brought it up, and it's like, oof, better be, and like I was even more inclined to be nice to you than would have been otherwise.
Gotcha.
There he goes, swashbuckling again.
You buckled your last swash, kid.
Oh no.
You know, just imagining. See, remember, this object is a cannon. If you're on that side of it, when it fires, there's a chance it's going to hit you.
Nah, those things take forever to reload.
I'm never gonna get over you buckled your last swash. That is beautiful.
So good.
I have a question about that.
Okay.
Did that change your behavior, and if so, in which direction?
That definitely was. Like, I've never gone that daring again. Like,
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, like I think this was before the shrapnel injury. So these two things combined,
Okay.
kind of caused me to be a little bit more of a kind of defensive position when dealing with ship-to-ship type stuff. And I do think that every once in a while, I start like taking cues from the gunners. Just kind of like they very much know what they're doing. So, like listening to them, like definitely wasn't like a complete 180, obviously, but
Sure, right.
Yeah, it definitely like lean a little bit more towards in that spectrum.
Gotcha.
Where does this urge to swashbuckle come from? Like, why the need to be so flashy?
I don't know yet. Perhaps we'll find out at some point. Who knows?
So you're not the most self-reflective guy. Your character, he's like, it's just how I am. Whereas
I mean,
Wendy's like, what in his past made him need to do this?
Why are you the way that you are? I think it's more that, like, just as a player, I don't quite know yet, and I'm willing to leave that blank for now.
All right, that makes sense.
Why is it that whenever we're attacking a Spanish vessel, for some reason he ends up in a position out in front of the guns? I'm not sure why that is.
And like his shirt just always opens up.
Yeah.
Like it just does that.
It's weird.
Yeah,
mysteriously.
Yeah.
Somehow mysteriously, he gets assigned on the boarding crew. I'm not sure how that happens. Oh God. That's good. Oh, so do you feel as though because Brian has saved your life, do you feel as though you owe him anything, or do you want to or repay a debt or anything of that nature?
Oh yeah, there's definitely this like feeling of being indebted to him, and like pretty much like whenever he needs anything, it's pretty much no questions asked.
Cool. I have no further questions.
Either.
Nothing else from here. I like that.
Righto, here we go. The life of a pirate has made you wealthy. Why do you feel shame for that?
I like that question.
It's a great question. I would like to hear Jen's answer to it. I am passing it along to the next person in the chain.
I don't think she would feel shame, so I'm gonna send this hot potato around the circle too. I think I'm allowed to, right? You can.
Yeah,
pass
absolutely.
twice. Yeah, passing it over to
Yep,
you,
you can.
black market person.
Okay. Okay. Just pure religious guilt. From the way I was raised. I was raised in a not only a particularly religious family, but a religious family from a sect that definitely preaches asceticism and sacrifice. And even though clearly I have abandoned all of that, at my core, I still feel like I'm going to hell. Not for the people I've killed, but for the wealth that I have amassed. That
As a
whole
former-
yeah, I was at that whole camel through the needle of an eye thing, rich man into heaven. That's one of the cores of our preaching.
As a former religious studies grad student, I heartily approve.
Yeah. So that's it.
Have you had the thoughts about what you're going to do eventually with your ill-gotten gains?
That's an excellent question. Let me think about that. Yes. I will not be giving it to the church, but I do have charitable organizations to which I plan to donate some money. It might be very telling that I have yet to do that, but it is my plan.
Are you pretty overt and open with your religiosity, or is it something you keep like really
No,
private?
I am not. It's I'm trying to think if people who know what to look for may have figured it out, but I'm clearly no longer actively practicing. Even when we're in a port with with a major church, which is most ports, honestly. And especially like the part of the world that we're in, I could easily have converted to Catholicism But I was told when I was growing up that was even worse than being a non-believer. So yeah, right now I find myself just cast adrift, as it were, from a religious point of view, and yeah, it's a point of contention personally, where I don't know what I am anymore, and maybe I'm maybe I'll try to get back into it, or maybe I feel like I'm just doomed, and the best I can do is try to help people before I'm sent to hell.
Oh, it's just this story. So you have talked a little tiny bit about Carmela, Captain Wendy. Does she know about this shame? Because I think she tried really hard to connect with you. I think she's like,
yeah. If Wendy's reading like reading between the lines, you can see the shame.
yeah.
But even that's not something like and you've probably been able to at least guess something along the lines of why. But that's not something, even though he has talked about Carmela in some detail, his religious upbringing is not something that he talks about to anyone, and probably not even to himself. He's probably just trying to keep it in a very tiny part of his heart right now.
There are some like really subtle ways that Wendy tries to sort of lift you up a bit. Like,
Cool. Okay.
she senses it, and she just wants you to, and because she doesn't have any of this morality at all, and she super respects you for having it, like, and feels it. So she tries to help you.
Okay. Okay, you might get the point though that when we go after other pirates, let's leave it to other pirates. When we go after specifically other pirates, I do seem to go into those missions with a particular zeal.
Okay.
Are there any pirates in particular that you have since we have a certain amount of zeal going on there? Are there any pirates in particular you think that and you don't have to give any names necessarily?
Yeah.
But are there any pirates in particular that you think there is now an active vendetta going?
Yeah, I think there'd have to be. One of them is probably the same one Wendy's after.
Yeah. See,
and
we get along. We get
yeah.
along. Yeah.
And there would be another. There's that's one of the big ones, and then there would be one other, probably a Spanish pirate, just because of his other part of his background.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I bet it has to do with Carmela.
Maybe it does.
One never knows. Cool.
Okay, so that was Jim's turn, right?
Yeah. So do we still do the same?
Well, no,
turn order?
we because
drew the card.
I passed. We just keep going from Brian at this point.
Okay, so now it goes to Levi.
Now it goes to Levi. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okey-dokey. You once committed a horrible crime in defense of a crew member. Why does it haunt you?
Whoa.
I think. I'd like to hear your answer to this question, Jim.
Okay.
Now that we got the passing bug, we're
Yeah.
just.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Oh wait, we can do that. Yes.
You once committed a horrible crime. You once committed a horrible crime in defense of a crew member. Why does it haunt you? Okay. No, I need to come up with something good here. I think that let's see. Trying to think of the various associated crimes and how horrible they may or may not be. So I think that I think it was on a time one of our fellow crew members was ashore, and I think the easiest answer is probably going to be his. I think the easiest answer is going to be Brian's character, because it's like one of those few times where it seemed like it was safe. And I thought it was safe, but it was not as safe as we thought. There were, I think, there were people acting as agents of the crown looking for us that were
Gotcha.
kind of, it was. I recognized the signs. I recognized them, but it was already kind of too late. And so I had to throw them off. So I gave them a murder to solve.
Aha.
And so it sort of deflected onto another ship. Wait, I've got it. Quick question. Just as a reminder. So Captain Wendy's guy is on our ship or on another ship?
Oh, my lost love?
Yes.
I don't know. He got transported too, and I don't know if he's escaped or if he's still there.
I think it kind of haunts me because the crew that I transferred it onto was their ship that he was actually on at this point.
And you never told me that he was there.
I have not said a damn word about that.
Oh.
But I feel very bad about it.
Yes, you do.
Because I'm like, we need to keep up a good line. We need to keep our line of gunpowder in supply. And so I'm going to have to stab this innkeeper.
So do you know what happened to
at this
Joseph
other
after-
inn where Wendy's boyfriend is staying?
Oh no.
And so yeah, it was not good because I'm just like, great, well, yay, transferred blame, we're good there, but it does kind of mean that I've potentially screwed over Captain Wendy on it, and I feel bad about that because
you should.
Yeah.
I've had things like that happen to me, kind of. So it's I never thought I would have to end up doing quite that. Although I mean, I've done arguably worse when I was still working for the government. But
Well, yeah.
It's never thought I'd have to do it as a pirate.
So you framed my Joseph. What happened to him?
I think that I think it's possibly helped his reputation, but amongst the pirate community. But the problem is that now they're kind of they're still kind of on the hunt for him, and it is much less likely, especially because this was, I think, relatively recently. I think it is probably much less likely that his ship is going to get a privateer offer.
I feel like this is book one. This is book one of the Windy trilogy right here. Like it ends with us having like some kind of sword combat, you and me.
Yeah, probably. Because it's just like, they were the only other target available and we had to get out. That's all we could do.
I don't care, you framed my boyfriend. I will kill you.
He'd be dead already, but okay.
But like somehow it ends up in a draw. Like we
probably.
Yeah. And then we're like really good friends after that.
That's my headcanon.
I mean, this is all headcanon, right?
Yeah. Are there any other questions?
No, I like
great.
that. I like that, but yeah, I have nothing else to ask.
We've got like whole novel plots now.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love it. Am I drawing, or are there more questions?
Yeah,
I'm good.
What about England do you dream of most? Well, so I'm actually the daughter of some like very minor nobility landholders that they have like a nice little semi-mansion on nice ground. And actually, before I left to follow Joseph, actually had a baby. And my family wouldn't let me keep her. Because they knew I was going astray and I would lead her astray. And she's somewhere back in England, and I always dream of what she's like and who she is and whether she would recognize me when I came back, and if maybe I could find her and take her with me someday.
This is Joseph's kid?
Yes. Well, yes. Is it? Yes. It's
Probably.
It's probably Joseph's kid.
Yeah. It's
As far as Joseph is concerned.
right.
Look, I've had a fun life, okay?
No, it's great. It's wonderful.
So, do you know where the child is?
She's with my family. They're raising her.
So yeah, they kept her there, not.
They kept
okay,
her.
got it. Okay,
Yeah. Her name is Annalise.
nice.
I love how I said that, and there was just like a pause of silence. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this got dark.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to ask about that. That's other than like, I really like that bit of the story though.
That's novel 3.
Right. Oh, that doesn't come until later. Right.
Yeah, that's like the 3rd book in the trilogy.
Approximately how old do you think Annalise would be at this point?
Should be about 11.
Are you not at all concerned about coming back to her having become what you have become?
My biggest concern is that she won't recognize me. And it's hard to even get past that. Yeah. Her opinion of what I do, I want her to like it. I want her to want to follow me. So I will be disappointed if she's just a minor nobility country girl. But more than anything, I just want her to recognize me. It got dark.
Although strictly speaking, didn't we all want our real pirate parents to come take us away?
Right?
Fair.
She's right about the age where that would click. Like, right about the age where she's like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to run away with the pirates.
Yeah, they're amazing.
This is the cool.
Yeah.
Can you tell I always write the angsty backgrounds? Like, that's
Nice. Oh, yeah. That's good.
Nice.
I put little daggers in for the DMs to get me. 'Cause, yeah.
Perfect.
We enjoy that on this channel.
We love knives.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think you're in the right crowd.
Awesome.
We're fans of the knives.
All right. Anyone else, or am I drawing?
Draw away.
I will do so. Let's see what we got. Ah, you have disappointed the captain. How does he show that to the crew?
Oh no.
He keeps pulling in at Tortuga.
Nice.
It's like, I'm sorry, but this is the only place we can get certain things.
Oh.
Does it bother you, or do you just sort of take it in stride?
I took it in stride the first few times. Now I'm actually keeping a record of every time we go back when I feel we didn't need to.
And then there's the obvious question: what did you do to disappoint him?
I aimed to disable instead of to destroy once, and that was going against a direct order. And it was obvious because I'm too good at my job to have screwed it up.
Why would you do that, I wonder?
That's an excellent question. I don't have a good answer for that yet.
I feel like
I-
Wendy just thinks that it's like your religious morale. Like there's something about that. Like
I
Yeah.
assume that the ships the ship that we were firing on was not a was not a Spanish ship.
Oh, maybe it was an English ship.
Probably not a. Ooh.
It might have been an English ship.
yeah.
Yeah, and a specific English ship. It's not like although I don't know. Maybe I cut English ships more slack than I would otherwise. But I think there was something specific about this ship that. And again, don't have a good answer for it yet. But yeah, there was a good reason. Well, in my head, a good reason not to sink it.
I mean,
And
if
I
you
could
served on
have.
it,
We had them dead to rights. Oh, that's possible.
yeah.
Although some of the ones I served on, I might have been more likely to sink. You never know. But
Well, like there was someone on there that
I
you
like
felt
that.
like you were like a mentor
Yeah.
for him, and then
Oh,
he's
that's
serving
it.
on this ship.
I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, I like it. That's it. Yeah, one of my gunners is now the master gunner on that ship. That's what it was. Yeah. It was as simple as that. Yeah, that was it. And Captain Blood was perhaps rightly pissed off about that.
He's not really sentimental.
Turns out, no.
Not about most things. Huh? But that's an interesting question. I'm wondering, is this a thing that has lasted for a while? Did he particularly want to go after that ship?
Or has he just been punishing me for this so long that he forgot why he was doing it, and
Yeah.
it's just I'm on his list now. Like he can't kill me or kick me off the crew, but he can make his displeasure known. And honestly, maybe it's just like this is the thing I do to the gunner now.
I like that. I like that too, like, because Wendy has a connection to you. Like, she's like the intermediary with the captain, like just trying to get him to chill out and like, no, cut him a break. Like,
Right.
But she can only do it so much.
Yeah.
I kind of think that like the initial release has become less and less sore, and that it's more habit than anything else at this point.
I think so. Yeah. And the thing is, there are legitimate reasons to dock at Tortuga anyway.
Right.
But maybe like, you know, if he has a list of places to go and Tortuga is one of them, he's like, oh, obviously we go to Tortuga.
Of course.
And I was like, what about Port Royal? Port Royal's nice. We could do that.
Cap is lovely this time of year.
Exactly.
Ready? Why do you sneak into Port Royal regularly?
You're the perfect one to get this question.
I know.
What are the odds? I think, like, maybe to elaborate on it, I think I've managed to like keep some sort of like correspondence with my cousins that live in there, and like we catch up regularly, and like this is something that's like is always done. Like you have some sort of like pass by the town square. Like I would know in their routine that they pass by this like one street, and like I make it so that we run into each other there, and like just like catch up, cousin type stuff.
Have you ever gotten too into that conversation and kind of endangered yourself? Like maybe there were a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe it was like the first or second time I was like, no, you can't tell him that I was here. And like it's possible that like a crew member of ours was like captured and hung, and that's when it kind of got into their minds. Oh, that's why we can't tell our dad. Like it finally got like that serious for them.
Yeah.
Are you ever jealous of them?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, are you ever jealous of them?
I think once we've been at sea for long enough, or after like particularly chaotic weeks, I wish I had that stability. But I mean, the opportunity to stay has never really felt like an option. So I don't really know, like, both in and out of character, where I would go or like where I would land if I was offered to stay.
Do you think your visits have in any way put either your cousins or your uncle in any kind of danger?
I think there have been times after, like, not super close calls, but when it was known that I was in town, that they were like that my cousins were like grilled for the Port Authority for a long time, and like next time I visited, it was like very obvious that it shook them up, and like both of us know that if folks back in England had known that the governor of Port Royal was harboring a pirate, that would bring major consequences down on him. And so, like, the situation is still dangerous for all involved.
You were grievously injured once in place of the captain. Why do you regret it?
Other than the obvious.
Other than the obvious, yeah. Not to be too self-aggrandizing here, but there was a time when in matters of dueling and in matters dealing with pistols, or in matters of just firearms, just in general, personal firearms, I was considered the greatest shot in the kingdom. Unfortunately, the difficulty has come that I've lost a finger from a hand. That wasn't all. That was part of the injury. There was more going on, but at the time, but I am not as good a shot as I once was. I'm still pretty good. I'm just going to put that out there. I can still hit a target pretty well.
That's why we dueled with swords.
But yeah.
No.
But unfortunately, I am not, I think, good enough with a pistol at this point to be able to. Let's just say there were times. There was times when it was necessary. I'd be able to very quickly and quietly make certain problems go away with the use of a pistol or a rifle type pistol or a musket. I can't do that as effectively as I used to. It's like well, if anything takes a second shot, then you have to have a second pistol ready, basically. But to that extent, that's kind of the problem. So the thing being that, yeah. So at the time that the captain was being targeted, and I, like an idiot, stood in the way, they got me instead.
So, crucial plot question here. Do you wear gloves with like a special finger sewn out of it, or do you just hold the finger up and pin it in place? What do you?
There is a glove. It is something that I've been working on with a friend in one of the ports, to kind of make it. It's designed to let me hold a weapon, and it's balanced pretty well for sword play if need be. We are still working on getting it balanced well enough for gunplay. and it's not quite perfect yet.
Does it look really cool though?
It does look kind of cool.
Okay,
It's got
that's
sort
important.
of leather and iron.
Nice.
And,
Cool.
it's very metal. It's very nice sort of thing to kind of show off if need be. But I generally don't show off, so it's not something I make much mention of. But our captain is still breathing, so that's a win.
I have no questions.
Yeah, nothing further on that.
All right.
My draw. The plantation owner's daughter once showed you kindness. How? That's a great question. My family, back in England, they don't really communicate with me all that much, but every once in a while there's a letter with an update about how Annalise is doing. And they knew that I'd been transported. They have connections. And they sent a letter. And for the most part, we weren't really allowed anything like that. And we weren't really supposed to communicate with the outside world. We were supposed to be sealed off from it forever. But she found the letter and she snuck it to me. And had anyone seen this, it would have been disastrous for me. But when she did, I gave her the biggest hug.
Did that act of kindness change any of your behavior during the escape?
I did not kill her. Yes, I didn't kill her. And in fact, I didn't kill her parents either, just the guards. And the moment before I ran away, she and I locked eyes, and she nodded.
Is we can
Was
pretty much.
anything? Oh, sorry. Was anything ever sent back?
You mean a letter sent back to my family?
Yeah, yeah.
I never have.
Hmm.
Never sent anything back. And my only sign of hope with them is that they still keep writing me. They would not want to hear about my life.
You're doing them a kindness by not responding.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. And like half of the letter is usually some kind of like religious preaching and like some
Right.
scripture in there. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Prodigal son story gets mentioned a lot.
Hint, hint.
Club me over the head, more like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Any more questions?
Not from here.
Was this daughter the one who the captain got together with, or is this someone else?
Ooh.
Oh.
I think it needs to be the one that the captain got
Yeah.
together with, right? It needs to be. And I have very mixed feelings about possibly stealing
man.
him away from her. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a scene in the novel where like we start out like being really angry at each other, and then like we end up hugging each other and crying.
Right.
Yeah. And then for like 3 chapters, I'm all about Joseph again. I don't know if we passed the Bechdel test in my novels.
Huh.
That's okay. I like it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I talk on Elise too.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point. That's a good point.
There's scenes
Yeah.
with that. It's just that kind of book.
Yeah. Well, the one where she gives you the letter, I think works because
no, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah. There's no
Yeah.
dupe we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got. Who did you leave behind in England? More to the point, yeah. I mean, my family. But as time goes on, I care a little bit less about that. So no, it was honestly just it was the Navy. The Navy is what I left behind that I actually care about. Because that had become my family, and that's and specifically the crew of the ship that I did not fire on, or more to the point that I didn't fire on to the extent the captain wished I had. But yeah, as it honestly just the entire English Navy is what I left behind, and still am not happy about.
I'm trying to come up with a title for your novel. Like Stalwart Soldier or
Oh yeah,
Exiled Soldier. Like, I'm trying to come up with something good.
yeah. We'll have to work on that.
The Exile.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Maybe. Huh. I wonder if any of the if there's anyone from the Navy that knows that you serve aboard this ship.
Yes, has to be. Because every now and then we're, clearly in the same port as an English ship. In fact, I'd say pretty regularly. So there's no way I haven't run into someone that I feel comfortable enough talking to. And either I just say, yeah, I'm on Captain Blood's crew, or more likely they just see me going back onto that ship. So the answer is clearly yes. Trying to think if I'm actually trying to hide it from anyone. No, I'm not. That's part of my penance is that they should know where I've fallen.
Cool.
Is like beyond you cutting English ships more slack. Is there any other way that it would be obvious to the rest of the crew?
Yeah. What would that be though?
Well, you act like a soldier. And
I
you've
do.
done everything like a soldier. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that part's obvious, and I haven't let that go. And
You have a soldier's posture.
yeah,
For
I
sure.
do. Yeah. Yeah. For that matter, my quarters are literally shipshape, which is not common among the rest of the crew, I should think. Yeah. I without saying it, I act like I'm maybe keeping up the routine in hopes that someday I'll be back in the fold.
Nice. Do you have any more questions?
I'm good.
Cool. Alrighty. So, Captain, you once saw the captain lie to protect a hostage. Why did this lessen him in your eyes? Huh. Cool. I think if it's okay with everyone else, I'm going to kind of X this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just I don't think it works for, frankly, any of us. But
I agree.
Yeah.
So,
I was thinking exactly that same thing, honestly. So yeah.
Why did you join the rebellion against James II in 1685? Okay, my history isn't quite as knowledgeable. Is this related to the Irish Revolution, which is a kind of thing in the novel, or do we think this would have been something different?
We have a few different things we can play with here. Let's see. And he actually started reigning in February of 85. Let's see.
First thing,
Argyle,
yeah,
maybe?
yeah, the first thing that Google's telling me is the Monmouth Rebellion, which
That's the one. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, there seems to be a mainly like I think I had a very dear friend when I was younger that actually was Scottish, and I think like just seeing that national pride, that pride of his own heritage, combined with like my loyalty to him, is what kind of brought me into it.
I like that.
It's probably what I was convicted for in the first place.
Yeah.
Is there anyone close to you that survived the rebellion?
Probably the friend's sister. Like, I think part of one of the reasons she survived was that she wasn't she never really saw combat. She probably like took care of the horse. She probably took care of the horses or something. So just wasn't in danger that much.
What's your relationship like with her?
Bit of a fling, but nothing super serious.
Nice.
Like maybe there was some correspondence when I was trying to outrun to like keep away from James's eye, but yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
She may never want to be with an Englishman long term.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
Good from here.
Yep. Okay. Why do you still love England? Well, my relationship with the crown is not a good one, but or well, the previous crown at least. But it is because not necessarily just of the sort of what it represents, is that when it is working beautifully. And it makes it so that the people that I care about will survive and perhaps flourish. It's not perfect by any means, but it has allowed them to keep going when in other places they might not.
Why might not they in other places?
There is a thing where they will quietly respect your personal dignity. They don't want to. It is very culturally. They don't want to get necessarily too familiar, and that works very much to our advantage.
What would they find out if they got too familiar?
Well, among other things, well, they would find out who my lover is, among other things. And that's not really something that we need to be told. We worked quite closely together beforehand, before everything happened, and we can't officially be with each other for a number of reasons. But it they still allow him to do well, and that is that's good for me to see that happening, basically. And
I want to read all these novels. I'm sorry I interrupted. My heart was just too big. Sorry.
And it's good also for his kids, who I kind of consider to be my own.
Ah, nice.
I love it so much. I'm such a sucker for all of this.
I know.
Oh, I love it. Other questions?
I think I know everything I want to about that. That's really good, though. I don't have anything. I don't have any further questions on that one.
Okay. Am I drawing?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, drag it. King William has offered pardon in exchange for turning privateer against the French.
This is it.
Yes.
Yep.
So let me tell you what happens in the last chapter of my trilogy, okay? At this point, I've decided that Joseph is just too boring for me. And me and the captain have really established a thing to the point where he's about to propose and offer me sort of joint ownership of the boat. I've also brought Annalise into the fold, and it just so happens that I find the opportunity to have my own ship, my own captain again, and I choose that. So I remain a privateer, or I remain a pirate, and I do not accept the pardon because I have Annalise with me, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everyone gets to answer this question. And expound upon any headcanon that they may so desire to.
Exactly. So, same order?
Sure, if you like. Yeah, absolutely. The order is not important at this point.
Okay. But yeah, I'll go ahead and answer. I think it's obvious that yes, I accept. But I make sure I end up as. Let me think about this. Are we assuming that Captain Blood also accepts?
That's a great question. He does in the movie.
That's what I mean. In the movie and the novel, he does.
Yeah,
so
but he
if
has to be a goody-goody two-shoes in the
Yeah.
movie, right? Like,
Yeah.
what does he actually do?
Because if we're assuming that, I just continue being the gunner on his ship. Though later on, this may get me in trouble because there's at least one ship I will make sure we're nowhere near, and it's Wendy's.
I do not accept. I think judging by the, I think it was that. I think it was that last one that kind of did it for me. Like, I have no reason not to, and plenty of reason to. But I think after I say no, Captain Wendy and I part ways, and I think Brian's character, you hear rumors of Captain Blood at places that you know he wouldn't have been at.
Ah, nice.
And then it clicks.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nice. I think I do so quite readily. I do accept because this gives me the opportunity to hunt down the bastard that
Right.
put me in the position in the first place.
Indeed, it does.
And also, I mean, I have some loose ends that need to be sewn up, and it would be easier for me to do so as a privateer. Because, you know, let's just say that, like I said, my relationship with that particular bastard was rather personal, and I would prefer there not to be any complications when I go back to my family.
Yay. I really do. I want to read all these novels.
I know. Me too.
Awesome.
Totally.
Well, we've hit the end. Thank you all so much for playing this.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. That was really fun. Thanks everyone for playing.
Yeah. I have
that's
that
great.
like full heart. when you see like a good heart tuggy movie, this is like
That's it.
you know, like
Yeah.
the first time you see Titanic and it's not lame, like it hasn't. That's how I feel.
Right.
Oh, this was great. Yes, no, this
Agreed.
is awesome. And did spawn rather a lot of storylines, and I love it. That's great.
Yes.
A little bit more, something interesting I noticed, and I don't know if this was just us, or if this was the nature of the setting for this, but something I've noticed that's different here from the games I've played of For the Queen is that the crew felt a little more tightly knit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think some of that was just us putting our in each other's stories, but I think after a while it kind of like got easier to do that. So I feel like
Isn't that
might
like
be
the
interesting.
story of any crew? Like that's what
Yeah.
happens in Star Trek. That's I mean,
Yeah,
it's
good
all
point.
if you're on the same ship.
Yeah, I think that may be by design on Deirdre's part.
Yeah. So I think that was really cool.
Yeah,
I like
totally
that.
agree. And I think, yeah, because with the courtiers that you're doing in the base, a game as it were, almost any of those can be like rightly assumed to be at each other's throats, whereas we could have been. But the whole idea was that all of us were in it together at some point to begin with anyway, like from the
Yeah.
escape from the plantation
Yeah.
and having been on a ship together. So right there, certain backstory is assumed, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's yeah.
I'm gonna sound like a psychologist because I am, but we also have shared trauma.
Good point.
There's
yeah.
something we went through together.
You're exactly right.
Okay, no, that's true. That's very awesome. I love it. And I feel as though, so I definitely want to play this again at some point. And I think,
Yeah.
Same here. next time I play, I'm going to try to push for the cyborg. I think that's the important thing. But that said,
Or the football player.
or the football player, yes. It's that would make it also very interesting. Come to think of it.
Well, you know that I will kill someone to be in the Cyberblood game. So
that's true. It's just sort of, let's see how we shoehorn these questions into a space setting. That's really the question.
King William of Mars is
Yes,
offering.
that's
it.
I mean, England is canon
it.
in Star Wars for reasons.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. It works.
Of course it is. That'll work.
Awesome. I haven't played that PC game in ages. I should go look it up. I think they did a restored version of it recently, but I digress. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. This was a delight. We're going to go ahead and go around and do our outros. I think now in the reverse the order from where we started. Feel free to tell folks, to say where folks can find you and any final thoughts you had about this game. And we will start with Levi.
Hey, I'm Levi. I have been your boat boy. Levi697 on Twitter is the best place to find much of anything. But Wednesday, I will be on Playbooks and Pals for Season 3 of Plain Obsolescence. We had, like, a new Session 0 after a time skip and some change-ups in the team. But, I'm really excited to get forward to properly getting into that. I feel like I had something on Saturday or something. If that does happen, I'll tweet about it. Saturday is Witcher on Capricorn Cross. Then the only thing I really want to promote is my on my pin tweet. There's a link to my Ko-fi. I'm trying to do a little fundraiser thing to properly do this kind of stuff more frequently, more reliably, and being able to get a desktop and fulfill my financial obligations. Not as easy as I initially thought. So, any help is appreciated. Do not feel pressured at all, please.
Oh, awesome! Any final thoughts about this game?
Oh yeah, actually I had this thought. Something that was observed when I played For the Queen way back, a while back, over a year ago, I think. But was, and I kind of mentioned earlier, this is a game of character. I think before we went live, this is a game of character creation, and now I kind of I would love to play something with these characters somehow.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, that's the big takeaway, and just wanting to play this again.
Yeah.
Glad I got into this.
Awesome. Excellent. And let's head over to Brian.
Okay. I'm Brian, like I said. Vaclam on Twitter and here on Twitch, though I don't stream myself. Like I said earlier, I show up on Jim's channel and do things. And I will be also showing up on Jim's channel sometime in April, but that's coming later. I'm running a thing, and but that is in its extremely early stages. And then I am one of the hosts of Armor Goes Clank podcast. We just released episode 19 or 20, I can't remember which, but link is in the Twitch chat. And or just Google Armor Goes Clank, and you will find us. We talk about mostly tabletop role playing and a lot of pop culture. And as far as the game goes, I had a great time. This is the first. I still haven't played For the Queen, and I would like to. I own it and have yet to either play it in person or online, but plan to at some point. So if anyone wants me to get in on their For the Queen game, find me. Also, that includes Jim. I'll play. This was really great. Yay, a dog. And also, it's always time for dogs. But I that just made my outro better. So
She was that excited. She really wanted to hear. So
she's
she did right up.
she's great. But yeah, this was great. I had a lot of fun, specifically with this group of players, and I will play anything with any of you again. Please let me know.
Yes, yay!
Awesome. Thanks so much. This was a lot of fun. I really I loved the way our characters ended up getting sculpted in this whole thing. It was very neat.
That's that's my favorite part, is the combination of questions from the cards and questions from other players. The way it builds up.
Absolutely. And finally, over to Jen and friend.
She doesn't want to get off. She's like a huge dog too, and she's sitting on my lap. This is Kaya. Who's very tired because she was napping this whole time. So you can find me on Twitter. And this is, I know it's written there, but this is my thing. It's on Twitter, I'm QUIXOTEJEN, 1 N, not 2. And on Discord, I'm Jen Quixote, and on Twitch, I'm Jen Quixote 77. And you can guess how old I am by that. And I stream on Featherfall TT every Tuesday at 6 o'clock in a really cool homebrew called The Gods We Know, where, you know how we kind of got that big-hearted emotionality here? Like, that's the feel there too, and that's what I look for. I just love that stuff. Yeah. And then, this happens to be a ridiculous week in terms of stuff that I'm doing. So I'm also in a Burning Wheel one-shot on Friday at 6. This is all Pacific time, sorry. You know, the time that matters. On Friday at 6. And then on Monday, I'm in Guns of Saint Tarina, and PG Harrington, who's the developer, is actually running that one shot. So that'll be cool on Monday at 6:30. So it's a lot, but I love it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and about the game. Yeah, sorry. I feel like the only reason why I forgot was I think I said like the thing that I would most say which is I would read these books.
Yeah.
Like a combination of how good the cards really get us into character creation, and then like the involvement of everyone here and how we dove into it and we're like open-hearted about it. Like, I agree, I would play with these characters too. Like, there's just, there's a big heartedness about it that I just love.
Yeah. And
I'm all about the like squishy, shippy, like stuff. Like, that's all me. So I love it.
Excellent. Very cool. Thank you so much for coming back and playing. This was great. I have some words about your coastal placement, but we shall we shall take that off the air. I'm just saying, this is there's a reason we're standard over here on these. But anyway, that leaves me. Who am I? I'm Jim. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and some fiction and games I've been working on, along with links to game signups and applications to join our Discord. This was a lot of fun for me. Dee, you did good. What's happening here? On Tuesday night, we have the finale of our Apocalypse World mini-campaign that we were doing predominantly through April. We needed to... April. That's in the future. Predominantly through February. We had to push back a week for the finale, but that'll be happening Tuesday. On Wednesday nights, we have our regular Masks campaign run by Molthulu, which is a lot of fun. Lots of young superhero angst, which is an absolute delight. It's good. It's so good. And on Saturday nights, we have our Invisible Sun campaign, The Age of Paradox. And that brings us back around to Sunday. Tonight we would ordinarily, on Sunday nights ordinarily, we have our Dark Matter campaign. That is not happening tonight because people are off at the PAX that is easternmost on this continent, and so they're off doing that.
Other PAX.
Oh God. So if I were to ever host a PAX, it would be called Other PAX, but I digress. But as Dark Matter returns a week from today, so that evening. But prior to that, week from today, we will have another one shot. And provided I'm able to get all my ducks in a row, it will be Flat Pack. which is a hopeful post-apocalyptic game, which I realize is kind of unusual, but it's very cool. And just sort of looking at it, the idea being you all playing young workers going out, venturing back above ground after some time to pick up these flat packs that had instant buildings and other things in them to try to fix the future, rebuild civilization. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Sign-ups are actually still open for that right now. Technically, I haven't cast it yet. So that's available. And so I'm probably going to look at that in the next day or two. And soon I'm going to have sign-ups opening up for a one-shot of Hill State University, which is a horror scenario using the Risus rule set, which is very simple rule set. And also, I'm going to open sign-ups soon, hopefully, for a one-shot of the Savage Worlds version of Space 1889, Red Sands, and go do some go do some stuff on Mars if we can. And so I think that'll be a lot of fun. If you want to sign up for any and all of these things when they come out, you can either go down below to RPG sign up or go to jimmyyesthatjim.com and click on Game Sign Up. As always, beginners are welcome. So when we hit the end card, let's see. Yeah, we got a couple people. I can do a spot of rating.
Open for Adventure Zone.
Open for Adventure Zone. Let's see what we got going on here. They apparently are doing the Dungeons and the Dragons. So yeah, sure, we'll go over there and say hi. Did I raid them last week?
I think you might have. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I rated them,
Yeah.
I kind of like to change it up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember now.
So let's see. John Verrill is on. I was looking at a couple of other places that normally do RPG content, and they're doing video games. But John Verrill is all doing his Changeling campaign. So we can go over there and say hi. You may feel free to hang on and say hi to them with us if you are so inclined. That is, again, as we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell.